Hello, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Catherine, if you haven't seen me before. And this is kind of just the space where I talk about knitting, other creative stuff. I started sewing recently. By recently, I mean literally like a week ago. And I've been having so much fun. I've been getting very frustrated, but also been learning so much. So today I'm just gonna kind of go over some stuff that I've been working on, my finished objects. There's not many, but I have a huge, enormous mountain of whips that I have been working on and off. And that pile really needs to be whittled down. It is quite dire. I've got a microphone. I've remembered to charge it. I have some water. And we can just go through some stuff. Oh, I'm also not, this is a cardigan, dare I say it's actually cool today, which is huge. I am so excited for winter so I can wear knitwear and jumpers again. But this is just like a cardigan that I bought 10 years ago. I'm afraid I did not make this, but I am kind of thinking, because this is acrylic, and it does get a bit sweaty if you wear it for long periods of time, so I kind of want to dupe this with like an Ozetta pattern and steal the buttons. Hello Fern. Fern is just probably going to join us now and then because she really likes getting involved in whatever I'm doing. Yes, you're chewing on my hair. Very good job. Fern likes to be involved. She's 6 months old. She's all over the place. So she'll just pop in and out. You'll see some cats walking around. It's fine. Don't worry about it. So I'm just going to take you through some stuff that I've been finishing. Some of them were gifts, so I've given them away. But honestly, mostly it's just Whip Central. It has been Whip Central, and there are some that I really need to get off my plate. And especially as winter comes up, it's now autumn, so these things need to be done. Oh yeah, and also please check out my Neopets t-shirt. I'm very happy with it, and I am really enjoying wearing it every opportunity I have. Any other Neopets enjoyers? I genuinely still go on there to play some of the mini games every now and then. I hate to admit it, but like they're good. It's good stuff. The first finished object that I will show you that I actually have is, it's on the floor. Let me grab it. It is my Stripe Overload tee number 2. And I say finished loosely because it's still got all the ends not woven in, as you can see, and it is not blocked. But I will hold it up for you slightly so we can kind of see. I'll insert some footage of me actually trying it on because I understand this isn't particularly helpful. So sorry, I'm lazy right now. But yeah, I'm very happy with it. This one is in this light purple and dark purple combination that I really love. I love purple. I'm really on a purple and purple blue kick over the last like year, and I cannot stop making things with purple and blue. So that's what I was enjoying. I think I am done with my Stripe Overload tee era, but I do have yarn for a Stripe Overload cardi. So I thought of me wearing it here. I don't have any complaints. I'm thinking of actually frogging my old Stripe Overload, which is white and red. It's not that I don't like it. The color did run a little bit though, and it is very distracting for me to have to look at, and I notice it every time I put it on. I'm sure nobody else has clocked it, but for me, very distracting. And also, obviously, this goes without saying, Australia, it is hot. It is hot here. And mercerized cotton, it's got this heaviness and stiffness to it. When I'm in hot weather, or even if I'm at work and it's just warm, which is where I've been wearing that top, it's a bit heavy and I'm probably more likely to wear something flowy, so I think I'll get much more wear out of this. I'll kind of assess over the next 6 months how I go, but I'm thinking of frogging that other one and using the yarn for something else, probably like a blanket or something. That's probably going to be the ultimate final destination for all of my scraps and my leftover yarn, because I don't know, it's just like I don't really want to waste it, but also there's not enough of any particular yarn to actually make a finished object. And honestly, scrappy pieces are not really my thing. So I guess there's going to be a blanket at some point. It's like a dumping ground for everything. But maybe it will be a good use for that. So off it goes. The next finished object I have is the Poet Scarf by Sari Nordland. And this one I made in a light pink, of Cardiff cashmere, and this was a gift to my partner's grandmother, so I do not have that anymore. It has been gifted, but I have some photos of it. And I really, really liked that pattern, and I've kind of been like a little scarf, Sophie scarf hater, but the poet scarf has just enough interest because of the pattern. I really, really like it. I kind of want one for myself now. When I finished it, I was like, if this was in a royal blue or something, I would absolutely love to wear this as a little like pop of colour, as they say. That was the first time I've ever knitted with cashmere, and it was very luxurious, I have to say. It felt a little bit special. If I were to make one again, I would probably do a modification where it's a bit longer, so not so much a triangle shape, but like a long shape, just because I bought 2 balls of Cardiff cashmere, and doing it as written in the pattern, I had 1/2 of a ball left, and it is just kind of sitting there, and I can't really imagine what I'm going to possibly use that for, and it's kind of just like $15, $20 of yarn sitting there with nothing to do with. So I would like to be a bit more efficient in how I use that, because cost of living be high, and do not want to be wasting money and having it just sitting there when I could be spending it on other things, like, I don't know, food. I can't say I'll be making a habit out of using cashmere, but it was very, very nice for a change, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've only got one more finished object, and I also cannot show you. It's the Spicy Socks by Stone Knits, and I'm kind of glad I don't have any photos of them because they were ugly. They were really ugly. It's the first time I've ever done 3-color stranded color work. I did ladder back jacquard, and it helped the tension a little bit, but not a lot bit, so it was suspect. Also, I made them for my dad for a Christmas gift, and I did not finish them until like February because we got COVID right before Christmas and couldn't go see my family. And then one of my cats got sick and passed away, so then we couldn't go on the makeup trip. 3rd time's the charm, we actually made it. So I had a couple of extra months to get that done. I made it in Lang Yarwal, and I had a lot of trouble with the sizing in this pattern. I haven't made any pairs of socks before, so I don't know how much was my error and how much was the pattern, but they were enormous. Like, I made the largest size according to what my dad's shoe size is, and they were huge. Like, it didn't even look like a human could wear them. I ended up having to make the smaller size with adjustments to achieve the correct shoe size. However, then they didn't even fit my dad, even though I tried it on someone in my life who was the same shoe size and it fit them. So my stepmom now has them. And I hope she enjoys them because I toiled, and I will not be making socks anytime soon again. You know, I think I'm actually just not a sock girly. I would love to be. I love the idea of just like, oh, get a little bit of sock yarn here, sock yarn there, just a one-off and make a little pair of socks, really cute. The sizing, this seems to be a problem I have with all fitted garments. If anything's meant to be fitted, I have a nightmare of a time and it just does not work, and I just want to make it baggy clothes, okay? Would it be nice to have a couple of fitted garments? Sure, but like, it's not my passion. I don't feel that socks are like my calling, you know? I do have some other sock yarn, but I can see myself doing like single color socks or just like cabled socks. The 3-color stranded was a trial, and I will need some time to emotionally and spiritually recover from that before I try and do it again. So that concludes literally all of the finished objects I have for like the last 3 months. Yeah, it hasn't been that productive for me. I've been working on a lot of large projects, which I'll show you in a second, and also just been really sewing pilled. Like, I have been doing a lot of sewing over the last 2 weeks in particular. And you know what, since it's technically a finished object, I'll show you the finished objects I have for sewing. How about that? I will put the timestamp you can skip to if you don't care about sewing. Okay, this is my first ever sewing finished object. It's a really janky knitting project bag. It's just got like a drawstring here that I didn't do properly and isn't gathered properly and doesn't actually stay closed because the little narrow channel that you're supposed to do here, I made it too narrow and I couldn't fit anything through. And I was going through the wars and in the trenches trying to force this cotton cord through, and then I realized I can simply just unpick and shove it through the channel. So this doesn't leave the house, so I don't really care. There is one of my whips living in there at the moment. Yeah, it's got a couple of little pockets inside, and I was quite proud of that because when I tell you, before I made this, I had never touched a sewing machine in my entire life. Sewing is basically still a dark art to me, but I'm pretty happy with this, so I just thought something very, very low stakes to get myself started. Ultimately, I'm most interested in making garments. I think that's true across knitting and sewing, and it's why I essentially transitioned from crochet to knitting. But, you know, I might be kind of overly ambitious and not giving enough of a shit for most things, but even I have limits. Even I can understand, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't make a garment the first time you touch a sewing machine. So, this little project bag, it's got little black cats on it. Of course, we know I love cats. So, that's number one. The second finished sewing project I have is this tote bag. It's got little bows on it, and this is just fabric that my mum had. She sews a lot and she has so much fabric, so she very kindly gifted me a sewing machine and lots of her fabric and supplies. But I did not secure this one very well. So you can see the pockets are actively falling off. So I am probably just going to rip them off completely because they're just too high up anyway. And I don't really want to use a pocket in a tote bag. This is literally just going to be like a throw it in and go type thing. So that's cute. And the strap, it's probably a little too short for my liking, but it's not so bad. So I was happy with that, and I thought, okay, great, I'm going to jump straight into garment making. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. Okay, we're done with sewing talk now. The sewing talk is over. We are on to whips, and I'm going to start with my most ancient of whips. It's living in my head rent-free. I need it finished. It's my Dagmar, which still has like yarn attached to it. So this is going to be like the jankiest thing. I'm just going to put it on over the top of this cardigan. One moment, please, while I maneuver myself. Yeah, so excuse the fact that I'm wearing 800 layers, but this is the Dagmar so far. It is in here. Have a back view. As you can see, all I have left is the rest of this sleeve and the neckline and the button band, and everything else is done. This is a size medium. I made it out of Rowan Kid Silk Haze in Anemone, and sorry, I'm just untangling this yarn from my feet. We are on my double jacket for 18 degrees Celsius, a bit grim, but I can cope with it for a minute. It's made of Rowan Kid Silk in Anemone and Morris & Sons Estate 8-ply in, I think it's Jacaranda, which would make sense. So I did not realise that this was superwash yarn, the Morris & Sons, at the time when I bought this yarn, because A, I had pretty much just started knitting and didn't really have a thorough understanding of fibre and different fibre types. B, apparently I also just didn't know how to read. So that's cool. I don't know how it's going to react. I am hoping and praying that the Kid Silk Haze is going to kind of hold it together, but it has some room to grow lengthwise. I don't mind an oversized fit. I mean, it's a medium, but it's looking ridiculous. I look like the Michelin Man with 400 layers on, but rest assured that it's looking reasonable. And like, I love this color. I'll wear it all the time when it's done and it's cold. I just need to finish the damn thing. Like, this sleeve is the one that gave me my first episode of carpal tunnel. Like, this thing has brought me pain, but it still has the capacity to bring me joy. So, just manifesting that this will be completed at some time frame. I really want it done, but also there are like other things that have like an actual deadline on them that I need to finish. So it's just hard, but this would be very, very toasty and cozy if I can get it done, because but winter is not objectively cold in Melbourne. Like, it doesn't snow, etc. But the insulation in most buildings is not very good. Both in terms of keeping heat out and keeping heat in, things just, unless it's a very old house, things just don't stick in. And this is going to be the first winter I'm going to have in my apartment, so I do not know how the climate is going to be in here. So that's the Dagmar. I need to take this thing off because I am starting to sweat. The next one we're getting into is going to be the Loon Sweater by CM Knits. Now this one is part of the Knit Along running by Knit Them, and I was very late in starting. I'm gonna have a vlog about this as well, hopefully, my process of making this. But I was very late starting because I don't have an excuse really, just lots of life happening. So this is where I am at so far. And the colour work on the back I'm pretty happy with, actually. The colour work on the front is actually a little bit, you can see that puckering, but however, the puckering on the front is such that I actually think that, the puckering on the front is such that I actually think it's going to block out fine. I'll show you the inside just for a little point of interest. Here's the inside of the colour work just for a little sneak peek. Doesn't look particularly amazing, but I did do ladder back jacquard just because it seemed like the most logical thing to do in this situation. Yeah, there are a lot of long gaps and long floats that I have to catch, and because this is a dark colour on a light background here, I was kind of worried that the floats were going to peek through and it would look no good. So just to be safe, a bit of ladder back jacquard, which I actually love. Like I said, I did that for the first time in the spicy socks and I am obsessed. And I think my colour work pretty much always comes out looking much neater and much more intentional and less puckered if I do that instead of just catching floats. So that's been what I'm doing now. This is supposed to be done sometime early April, and I feel like it's possible to do so, but I am feeling like I'm definitely gonna have so much yarn left. This is like a fraction of one of the cream balls, or poivre blanc, if you like. And the green, I've only just finished my second ball of a green and it's like this much done. I have 4 more balls. So I'm thinking there's definitely going to be at least 1.5 left, maybe more. We'll see. But once again, that just ends up being like, I've got all these random balls of yarn that are left over from projects that I don't know what to do with. And because this is Gilead, it's like really expensive yarn and I don't want to just dump it in a blanket. So I might have to use it as, I mean, the other thing I could do is use it as a contrast color in a different sweater, right? Something with about the same amount of color work as the loon. It could work. But I fear that if I do that, the pattern is going to repeat itself, right? Like I'll buy yarn for that and then I'll have more of the new color left over and then it's going to be like an Ouroboros type situation. So anyway, I'm yapping. That's the loon sweater. I have not really had any problems so far. I feel like people are so dramatic when it comes to knitting flat. Purling isn't that bad, guys. It seems to be an unpopular opinion, but like I don't think purled colorwork is really that bad. Sorry. Anyway, that's the loon. Now, one that I've been working on that I have abandoned, kind of, like it's very much on hold, the Kitten Catch Mittens by Florence Miller, because honestly, I made this one in 2 days. I just completely locked in one weekend, but my hand is pretty small, but it's not freakishly small, right? Here's the thing. It fits now because I got rid of a whole repeat. If I had done another cat repeat, it would have been like up to here and I would have had this much, like at least 10, 15 centimeters extra room at the end of the mitten. It would have just been comedically huge. I also realized this early on and sized down a needle size. So sized down from 2.5 millimeters to 2.25 millimeters. And it was still enormous. So I basically just chopped off a whole repeat, charted my own little paw motif, and did that instead. And now it's the right length. These were going to be a gift. I'm still not too sure because I honestly have like no utility for these. It's simply just not ever cold enough here to need mittens. And if I were to wear gloves, which I probably would in like the dead of winter, those would be fingerless because it's usually like when I'm working and I'm typing on a keyboard and my fingers are going numb. So this will not help me much because I'll just kind of be like doing a bit of this. I used the yarn that was called for, which is Spindrift. I forget the specific name, but it's the Spindrift. I'll put it on the screen again. I haven't done the thumb, as you can see, it's still on hold. These were meant to be a gift for someone, but now, right now the jury's out if I'm actually going to get it done in time because working on this, I complain about my carpal tunnel all the time, but like, it do be relevant. This killed my hand, my right hand specifically. Although I should have probably known better than to crush this one out in 48 hours. Very stupid thing to do. But it was just so fun. I just loved doing this colour work. It's so intricate. One thing about this though, in the Poet Scarf by Sari Nordland as well, is like you cannot look away from the chart when you're doing it. So, excuse me. You cannot really look away from the chart while you're doing it, so you're not really going to be able to do a whole lot. It's not a mindless knit. It's very much you have to be like locked in and looking at it. Or at least I did. I am not good at memorizing stuff though, so with the Poet Scarf, I've seen some people be like, oh, once you memorize the pattern, it's fine. Who is out here memorizing the pattern? What kind of brains do you people have? I certainly do not have the type of brain that can memorize like a 10 row repeat, but like I love that for you if you do. It sounds awesome and I'd like some of that energy in my life, but it's not me. So for me, it's just like I'm staring at this pattern and nobody can speak to me and I cannot speak to anyone and I can't really watch anything. So yeah, I would like to finish this one. It's very cute. It's probably going to be a given away, not for me, but yes, very adorable. Again, love cats, can't complain. Okay, we're on the second to last whip. We've got more purple. We have and we have it on needles that do not have any needle stoppers on them. That is bold, Catherine, really bold. So this is the Mixed Rib Cami by Florence Miller that is in progress, and this is being made from, why am I speaking in like third person? I am making this in Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino. First time I've ever used it, and loving it. It's so, so soft and luxurious feeling. I'm a bit worried about how gappy this is. Like it seems like the gaps in the rib are quite large, but also I'm wondering if it will, like if you're wearing it and it's on the skin, it might not be as noticeable. And also I'm hoping that when it's blocked, it'll kind of fluff out a little bit and fill in the gaps. Don't know, maybe that's wishful thinking, but again, love this one. This one has been pretty mindless because you just repeat the same thing over and over again. I'm still working flat. I haven't joined in the round yet, but yeah, it just takes a long time. It'd just be taking a long time because it's just like these tiny little needles and you're just going and going and going in the wide and twisted rib pattern. So I do really like this, but like, again, not a priority because we're coming out of summer now. So I'm gonna have like no wear out of this pretty much for this summer. I wanna say it's 3.5s. I want to say it's 3.5 millimeters, but I cannot guarantee that. So I will simply correct myself if I'm wrong. I feel like I've been speaking so quickly. I've had way too much caffeine today. Oh my God. Just like also when I'm talking about knitting and more recently sewing, I just feel like I get so excited and I'm just like, ugh, I'm trying to speak so quickly and get all my brain thoughts out and dumped out. And I imagine that trying to listen to me is exhausting. So sorry, but the whole point of this YouTube channel is basically that I don't really have anyone in my life that also knits and does that kind of creative stuff. So I have nobody to talk at, so I just film myself and talk at myself. And if someone watches, that's great, but if they don't, then at least I've dumped it out of my brain and I've exhausted myself, so I don't annoy everyone. Seeing again my blue purple obsession. This is the lavender blue, I believe. I don't know what my fixation is with blue and purple. I did not used to be a purple gal, but now currently it's my favorite color. And like, I don't know anything about color season analysis, or like I kind of do, but I don't have any clue what I would be. But just greens, blues, purples, oh, so good. This one's going, again, it's kind of just one that I'll pick up and do while I'm doing something else because yeah, there's not a whole lot going on right now. I imagine the waist shaping is coming up pretty soon, but I've just got to knit it to a certain length. So, you know, this one will just happen when it happens. It's fine. The last thing that I am working on is a gift knit, and it is currently in pieces because it is constructed in panels. But I have blocked the back panel. It's the Squeeze Me Vest by Knit Knit Goose, but instead of lemons, it's going to be feijoas, and there's like a different color scheme that it's got been gone for. So this is the back panel. It's going to be for one of my best friends, and the back panel is pretty much the same sort of thing as what it is in the pattern, but the front I have changed the colours a lot. So personally, I had not heard of a feijoa before my friend requested this. So I found out what a feijoa is. They're like these weird little fruit. Anyway, just Google it. It's fine. They kind of look like limes from the outside, but they've got like light yellow insides and like a little like seed area, kind of like a cucumber. I've never had one, so I can't tell you anything more about it, but front panel is super curled up, but this is how it's looking so far. This is all in Tarja, which is fine for the front panel actually, but when I tell you that, like, so this back panel, all of these were, I mean, there's bits of ends poking out everywhere and it's a fiasco, but all of these were a different little bobbin of yarn. And I started off using bobbins, and then I realized that that was making things worse, and it was actually much easier to just have like free ends of yarn everywhere, and just if it gets tangled, just untangle it, because the bobbins themselves were then tangling and it was like compounding the problem, right? So this back panel was a complete nightmare, and I was very brave weaving in the ends as I went, because I think if I had left it to the end, I would have cried. But also it was just more stuff for the new row to get tangled in, and oh my God, it was a nightmare. But this front panel is not so bad. I've got one more front panel to do because I'm adapting it into a cardigan for her, a V-neck. And then all the finishing details I've charted. Then I'm going to duplicate stitch all the details on. I'm actually speaking so quickly that I feel like I'm running out of breath. That is not good practice for public speaking. My goodness. As for the pattern itself, honestly, I don't know if I can really... How do I put my assessment of the pattern? It's not that it's terrible, but there are quite a lot of spelling errors and stuff. I don't know if it's just because I'm an editor in my real life, so that kind of stuff really jumps out at me and I'm a bit of a stickler for it. But like, for example, pearl is spelled wrong in the pattern. That's kind of a pretty big term to misspell. But also the size that I'm making, it tells you to cast on a certain number of stitches, but then the chart is for a different number of stitches. And at no point does it tell you to increase to that chart number. So I'm pretty sure that that's an incorrect value in the pattern. I have been meaning to contact the actual designer about it, and I will definitely send them an email. I've just looked up the pattern and it costs $15.40 Australian dollars. That's not an inconsiderable amount of money. Like, it's not ridiculously expensive, but it's also not cheap. If you're paying that much for a pattern, I kind of feel like obvious spelling errors like that. I mean, the number issue is a simple correction, but this designer is really talented. You can check out their work on their Instagram. They make the most phenomenal things. But I do kind of expect a level of quality in patterns, and I don't feel like it was there. The directions themselves were not confusing, but like just getting someone to proofread the pattern would have made a huge difference. And, you know, it's fine if there's just a minor problem, but this error with the cast on stitches in the chart is also right at the start of the pattern. And I think I'm making for the size 6 or something. It's just kind of implying to me that the larger sizes have not been pattern tested, which I know is common for larger sizes, but if you are publishing a pattern for money, I do think that there needs to be a certain amount of quality control. And that's also something that you could probably test yourself, like cast it on and is the chart working? You'd be able to pick that up immediately. So like, I'm not saying this is a bad pattern by any means, but just something to be aware of, I guess. Otherwise, it's very straightforward. The charts are good. I haven't really had any problems per se. And it was either too many or too few stitches for the chart. And I remember I just either cast on or decreased. And that was an easy fix, yes, but like, it's the principle, right? It's the principle. That's just how I feel about it. Again, I'm not coming for anyone. I just am calling it how my experience is, and that's my personal experience making this pattern so far. That concludes everything that I have today in terms of knitting. I'm not necessarily going to be following the like finished objects, whips, acquisitions type structure that a lot of people do. I don't have any acquisition unless you count my amazing sewing machine that my mum gave me and a secondhand Horn sewing cabinet that I got from Facebook Marketplace, which are amazing, by the way, because the Horn sewing cabinets are very expensive new. Basically, they like fold up. The whole thing about the Horn cabinets is like they fold down, and so like just a plain cabinet, and then you can bring the sewing machine up from like a pedestal inside and open up for like a table. And it's so cool. They are so cool. I don't have any yarn acquisitions. I'm working very hard. I'm not buying any more. I have plenty to get through, and I'll just be doing some other kinds of videos. Like I'll probably do some sewing content because I've been in Struggle Town with that, and it's just nice. I think it'd be nice to see how far I come over time, just for posterity, and if nothing else, people can laugh at me, so that's always good too. I don't have any strict timeline that I'm keeping to, just because like I work full time and sometimes life happens, but like I'll pop in every now and then. Can we calm down, please? Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll probably be seeing you very soon. Bye.